Hello everyone and welcome to round 3 of the Budget Rally Tournament. I don't have anything else to say, so let's get into it. So, for this round, as you can probably tell from the thumbnail and the title, we're gonna be racing at Barcelona Rallycross, or as I like to call it, the Citta di Aria of Rally in Gran Turismo 7. 2 races of 10, I mean 4 races of 5. And whoever finishes last in each race is eliminated. I don't see any reason why that should change. Anyways, with that being said, let's begin round 3. So, for the first heat, we have 454 HO Bowtie, Xolstis, Rosie Miranto, Ryuhei SVT, and Fancy Wreck. With that being said, the racers shall start racing. And here they go off the starting line. Right away, you can see Bowtie getting overtaken by both Xolstis and SVT. But then he managed to overtake Xolstis back. And in the back, Fancy Wreck managed to overtake Rosie Miranto. And they now head off into the first corner of the track. Let's see what's gonna happen. Let's see, Fancy Wreck is trying to overtake Xolstis on the jump, but unfortunately fails. That's okay, as the race just started, while Rosie Miranto currently is not having the best of times. So here they go onto the tarmac section, and surprisingly, there's not a lot happening at the moment. But that should change, as we are now heading off into the final section of the track. And so, on the set section, Bowtie goes a little wide, giving Xolstis an opportunity to overtake. And he manages to do just that, as Xolstis managed to overtake Bowtie along with Fancy Wreck. And so the second lap starts with Rosie Miranto currently in last place, as he now has to deal with overtaking Bowtie on this tight rallycross section. And across the first corner into the jump, as Bowtie is not letting some Group 3 homologation overtake him. Meanwhile, in the front, Fancy Wreck is now trying to catch up to Xolstis and overtake him, while Xolstis himself is trying to catch back up to SVT and the not-so-heavy Ford Focus, as SVT has a pretty big gap over him thanks to him overtaking Bowtie long before Xolstis. Anyways, as we make it to this section, Fancy Wreck continues the fight to overtake Xolstis, while Bowtie is busy holding off Rosie Miranto, who's still in last place by the way, and whether or not things change on the third lap, we'll just have to wait and see. And now he heads off into the first corner while trying to overtake Bowtie, but not succeeding as of right now. Meanwhile, in the front, Fancy Wreck is still trying to catch up to Xolstis and overtake him, to try to continue his streak of almost always placing second. And from what I can tell, Xolstis made absolutely no progress in catching up to SVT. And before you ask, yes, Bowtie is still managing to hold off Rosie Miranto. And not even the tarmac section is saving Rosie Miranto at the moment. Anyways, both Bowtie and Rosie Miranto go through the long corner into the switchback, as nothing proceeds to change, so we'll check back on these two later. For now, let's focus on the front of the grid, as they cross the line into the fourth and final lap. And as you can see, Xolstis managed to successfully catch back up to SVT, and he now just needs an overtaking opportunity, which isn't gonna be easy to find on a tight track like this. And the race only gets closer as all 3 of them make it to the tarmac section. And all 3 of them went smoothly through this corner, but sadly no overtakes, so there isn't really anything to commentate here. And on the speed section, Xolstis builds up a bit of a gap over Fancy Wreck. But that doesn't really matter, as the gap is probably gonna vanish on the switchback. Anyways, here comes Xolstis' final opportunity to overtake, which he fumbles up for the second time, which allows SVT to casually go through the switchback and into the finish line in first, with Xolstis in second and Fancy Wreck in third. And now it's the perfect time to check back on Rosie Miranto and Bowtie. Oh, Bowtie goes wide on this corner, giving Rosie Miranto a chance to overtake. took him long enough. And now this corner will determine whether or not the overtake is successful, which it looks like it wasn't, as Bowtie managed to overtake him back. And as he makes it to the first corner, Bowtie tries to build up a gap over Rosie Miranto, while Rosie Miranto is now trying to catch back up to Bowtie after getting smacked into the wall. And so, after the jump, Rosie Miranto manages to somewhat catch up to the Chevy Chevelle, as they are now on the tarmac section where the most action happens. And so, now they make it into the speed section, where Rosie Miranto uses the fact that he has 5 more horsepower than Bowtie to his advantage and manages to catch up. And now it's all down to the switchback. Let's see how this goes. And into the dirt they go, and oh, Bowtie goes wide, which allows Rosie Miranto to pull a last-minute overtake on the switchback. And now Rosie Miranto goes through the last corner into the finish line in 4th place. And the Chevy Chevelle is out of here. Man, I feel so bad for Bowtie right now. May God rest his soul. But the tournament must go on. For the second heat, we have Drip KA, Halo, Alan Coder, Ferrari, and Colony of Birchmen. And so, insert text prior to race starting here. 3, 2, 1, go! As soon as the race starts, you can instantly tell that Ferrari is not messing around anymore, as he manages to literally overtake everyone in the first 10 seconds, while Drip KA and Colony of Birchmen went off the track for a bit. But as you can see, Drip KA is not gonna let Halo overtake him, as they now make it through the first corner and into the jump, where Colony of Birchmen manages to overtake Halo. And now it's time to see how things are gonna go on the tarmac section. And here they go, as Alan Coder tries to catch up to Ferrari and overtake him. But as you can tell, Ferrari ain't gonna let that happen. But things still might change regardless of if he likes it on the switchback. And so we enter the dirt with both Ferrari and Alan Coder going wide on this corner, allowing Drip KA and Jess to catch up to them. Speaking of which, it just so happens that Jess managed to overtake Drip KA on this corner. And now the mighty truck is off to catch up to Ferrari and Alan Coder as the second lap began. And so, she is off as Alan Coder now has to deal with not getting overtaken by her, while grinding his way into the next corner, as Ferrari uses that fact to his advantage to try to zoom off from Alan Coder. And it looks like things seem to be working out for Ferrari for once. Meanwhile in the back, Drip KA and Halo are battling for the 4th place. And Drip KA seems to be winning as of right now. But things still might change on the switchback, which is where Jess managed to catch up to Alan Coder as he went wide. And now she heads off into the final corner before the 3rd lap, trying to overtake him and succeeds, claiming 2nd place while Alan Coder falls down to 3rd. And now let's see if Ferrari's gap over Jess guarantees him the victory, as he goes over the jump with a shit ton of confidence. And so, it looks like Alan Coder is chilling in 3rd place as both Drip KA and Halo seem to be catching up to him, turning this into a somewhat 3-way battle. And things are looking bad for Halo at the moment, as he was just unable to find an overtaking opportunity up to this point. And in the front, I never thought I would have a chance to say this, but the truck made absolutely no progress in catching up on this lap. But it might be able to, given that there's still 1 lap remaining. And so they head off across the finish line into the final lap, while Alan Coder is busy trying not to let Drip KA or Halo catch up to him. And so, this is Halo's last chance to overtake Drip KA. Let's see if he succeeds. In the meantime, Alan Coder's C8 Corvette goes over the jump, and then wall grinds the corner right after it yet again. And in the front, it looks like Jess managed to overtake Ferrari, but then Ferrari overtakes her back, proving that maybe the truck isn't so OP after all. But the race is not over yet, as Ferrari still needs to make it through the switchback properly. So into the dirt he goes, and his luck seems to be running out as he went a little wide on this corner, allowing the colony of Birchmen to catch up to him. And now it's all down to the final corner, and surprise, surprise, colony of Birchmen manages to pull a last-second overtake on Ferrari. That was a bit of a surprise, but what's even more of a surprise is Halo being eliminated, as he was unable to overtake Drip KA, meaning that his attempt at redemption is over. For the third heat, we have Interrupting Octopus, Android, Pin, Moi, and Julie Kanoto. And so, let's see if this race is gonna make round 3 even more of a surprise. And so the race begins, with Android being able to overtake Octopus right off the bat. But then he overtakes Android back for 2 seconds before going wide and allowing me and Pin to overtake him as well, as we all make it into the first corner no problem. Except for Octo, as he goes wide, allowing Julie Kanoto to overtake him. And he is already last. Wow, that was quick. I can already tell this race is gonna be very boring. Anyways, we are now on to the tarmac section, which is where Android and his Group B homologation managed to build a gap over Pin. And I, as of right now, am trying to hold off Julie Kanoto and prevent him from taking the podium away from me again. And from what I can tell, it looks like every single one of us overshot this corner a bit. And I am literally the only one that's paying the price, as Julie Kanoto tries to overtake me, but fails as the switchback ends and the second lap starts. And we are now back on this corner as I try to catch up to Pin and overtake him but fail. And Pin goes through the jump as he tries to do the same thing on Android. And so, the tarmac section begins and he manages to catch up to Android, but not quite enough to overtake him yet. Meanwhile, the Żółtek Viper is getting PTSD from round 1 as I now have to deal with the 400R again. Anyways, on this corner, it seems like my Żółtek Viper drifted a bit. But I am not letting a small drift be the reason I lose the podium, as I make another mistake on the switchback, allowing Julie Kanoto to overtake me. But then he fumbles up this section, allowing me to overtake him back. As the third lap starts now, and I realize that maybe this race isn't so boring after all. Quite surprisingly, Android is in first place as Pin's GTO forgets how to overtake. And so, after making it through the jump, not ear-raping you for once, and accidentally wall grinding, Julie Kanoto overtakes me. But then I surprisingly managed to overtake him back as the 400R goes too far on the outside, while poor Octo is just getting left in the dust. And so, here goes Pin across this corner and into the switchback, as Android manages to casually go through this corner, meaning that he doesn't really get a chance to catch up to him. As for me, history repeats itself as I go wide, allowing Julie Kanoto to overtake me. And history repeats itself again as Julie Kanoto doesn't take this corner properly, allowing me to overtake him back again. And with that, we are now on to the final lap. Let's see what's gonna happen. And the answer to that is nothing, as Android is still managing to successfully hold off Pin. And so, the battle between these two only intensifies as they make it to the tarmac section. In the meantime, I go on this corner and accidentally go a little wide, which allows Julie Kanoto to take the podium away from me again. I'm sorry for the mood change, it's just I kinda have to be biased given that's literally me competing right there. Anyways, Android goes a little wide on this corner, but it doesn't really matter as he already has a guaranteed first place. And that is about to become official as he manages to cross the finish line, with Pin in second, Julie Kanoto in third, and me taking up fourth place. Meaning that Interrupting Octopus and his 500 horsepower PTSD mobile is out of the competition. For the fourth heat, we have Expert, Ika, Roxy, Leyland, Vi, and Arcaadely. Anyways, let's see how we end off round 3 with this race. You know I couldn't host a tournament without featuring this song. Anyways, Ika manages to overtake Expert right away. And then they go off the track right after, allowing the others to overtake them. Anyways, they now head off into the first corner, which is where the Genshin Supra takes the outside line, allowing the Crossbow R to overtake it. And then it goes on the outside again, allowing Expert's Mustang to make a move on the jump. And now they head off into the tarmac section as Expert tries to overtake Arcaadely. And from what I can tell, the overtake was a success. Meanwhile, in the front, the two Redemptionists are having a very intense battle for first place. And the battle only gets more intense on the switchback, which is where Ika tries to overtake Vi but fails. And now they head into this corner as the second lap is about to begin. Meanwhile, Arcaadely overtook Expert and is now trying to catch back up to the Redemptionists, which isn't gonna be easy given how much of a gap they've already built up. And so, Ika tries to catch up to Vi going into the jump, while Arcaadely is now trying to catch up to Ika. And being honest, Expert is doing really well in the Mustang, I must say. I mean, it doesn't really look like it, but hey, he's not last, that's something. And we'll see if he's able to keep that up later. For now, let's focus on Vi, who managed to build a gap over Ika going into the switchback. And now they enter the dirt as Arcaadely is still trying to catch up to them. And going into the dirt as he goes wide on this corner, it's no surprise why the Crossbow R is not catching up. But who knows, maybe that'll change on the third lap, as Ika is failing to compete against Vi. I guess I was wrong about this being an intense battle. If anything, it's getting less intense as Vi manages to build an even bigger of a gap over Ika. Oh well, like I said last time, not every race of a tournament can be very intense. Anyways, they now make it to the tarmac section as Arcaadely makes the littlest, minuscule of progress in catching up to Ika. And now he makes it to the speed section where he makes some more progress on catching up. You're doing good back there, Expert. I hope you keep that up. Anyways, we are now onto the switchback where Vi makes no mistakes, meaning that Ika literally has no opportunity to actually catch up. And speaking of catching up, that's what Arcaadely is managing to do step by step. But will it be enough to catch up to Ika? We're about to find out on the fourth and final lap, as he makes it through the first corner into the jump, with no sign of Ika catching up to him. As Ika is now going through the exact same corner, Arcaadely is slowly but steadily catching up to him. And let's just say that at this point, Vi pretty much has a guaranteed first place. Anyways, now Arcaadely makes it across this corner and into the speed section, with this likely being his last opportunity to catch up to Ika. And from what I can tell, you know what, I'm not gonna drag out the inevitable for much longer. Vi makes it through this corner as he pretty much has a guaranteed first place. And Ika comes after him in second, with Arcaadely right behind in third. There it is. And that's about it. Just kidding, there's still one safe spot left. And who will be taking it? I guess we'll find out now. And with all due respect, I'll shut the fuck up and let the race actually speak for itself. So, after managing to hold off Roxy for the entirety of the race, Expert manages to cross the finish line in 4th and avenge his fallen comrade Terra by eliminating Roxy. And with Roxy eliminated, this also means that Jess is the last remaining female competitor. And that's about it for round 3. And with that, we are now down to 16 contestants. For real this time. Anyways, if you enjoyed, which I know you did, like the video. And maybe even consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in round 4.